Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast, where we focus on internal transformation to experience external results. I'm your host and coach, Doreen Rainey. Join me each week for insightful messages and powerful interviews to equip you to take bold, courageous, and radical action to live the life you want and deserve. Welcome to the latest episode. I am your host and your coach, Doreen Rainey. And as always, I am thrilled and excited to come to you once again to be able to share some insights and information about internal transformation to create external results. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. Our podcast started back in April, and we have just hit our 30,000 download mark. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for listening, for sharing, for tuning in, and being a part of this radical community. And listen, if you've been enjoying what you've been hearing, if you love the content that's being shared, do me a favor. Share this podcast with your friends, your family, your community. Recommend that they tune in. And also be sure to leave us a rating or a comment over at iTunes. We'd love to hear from you, love to know how this podcast is making a difference for you. So go ahead, hit that share button, and also head on over to iTunes to give us a rating and a review. And now I want to introduce you to our fantastic guest for today. I have known her for, 7, 8, 9+ years now. And it has been awesome to watch her grow, to watch her brand grow, and to watch her business grow. She is committed to helping women connect, helping women grow, and helping them succeed, whether they are focused on their personal growth or whether they are looking to start a business, grow a business, or leverage a business. I'm excited to welcome to the Radical Podcast the founder of the Boss Network, Cameka Smith.
I need some Beyonce in the background.
Right, exactly.
Hey, boss.
Yes. And I am so excited to have you on the podcast because number one, I've just known you for, it has to be going on like 10 years, 9 years, 10 years.
I literally feel like since day one, yeah.
Yes, and I have watched you grow your brand, grow your business, and help so many people. And so I'm excited to talk with you and have you share a little bit about your journey and some of the lessons that you've learned. So first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about the work you do and why you love it, why you feel like it's your mission, it's your calling?
Yeah, and it's so funny because I literally posted, we post, right? That's what we do. But I literally posted, like, I know that God called me to do this work. My background is in education. From Chicago, born and raised, so I work for Chicago Public Schools, and I've always loved helping people. I've always loved pouring into people, particularly young people, and then also women, because my degree is in counseling, but it's also in adult education. So I've always had this thing about helping people to get to another level, So whether, it was, my mom, she went back to get her high school diploma when she was like 35 years old. So watching her go through that process, it was really, important for me to want to support her because I was in college at the time. And so I really wanted to, encourage a lot of other adults and even young people who might have came from, circumstances where they didn't think that success or college was accessible to them to actually believe in themselves to dream bigger. And so it was just a natural, transition when I got laid off in 2009 to do something that would be impactful. And that's why I think, me starting the Boss Network and, having an organization where I literally, use my platform to uplift and expose other women. Nowadays, that's kind of like unheard of because everybody is all about personal branding, which is amazing. But I tell people that, yes, I have a personal brand. I love, that people are drawn to me because of the work that I do. But I love the fact that I have a platform that exposes so many women to women that they might have never heard of. So I use my, my celebrity or my platform or my, influence to allow other women to share their resources and their strategies so that other people can grow. And that's what it's all about. So I just love it.
Yes, yes. And so tell us in your own words what the Boss Network is and why is it something that is so needed in our woman culture, in our environment today?
Yeah, so you know what, the Boss Network is so interesting because I tell people I feel like we were very much a trendsetter as far as the women's movement, right? That we see right now. And we started this organization back in 2009 when social media was kind of like just on the verge of like really blowing up, and people were utilizing it. A lot of people still were like, I don't want to be on social media. At that time, Twitter was like everything, and so we really used social media to create a voice where I felt like for women of color, for brown and black women, there was no voice. I knew for myself when I got laid off, I wanted to start a business. I had already dabbled in entrepreneurship. I had what we call our little side hustles, my little, businesses on the side about, did my career. But I knew that once I got laid off, that I wanted to take that time to really pour into myself and figure out, okay, what is your legacy going to be? Yes, you love helping people. Yes, you impact and you are an encourager and you help inspire people. But what do you want your legacy to be? And I wanted to have my own business that I could pass down to my children. And so, me starting Boss really came from me trying to grow my other business, which was an event planning and marketing company. And
Right.
so as I was networking and trying to talk to other entrepreneurs, I couldn't really find a lot of entrepreneurs back then. And the people that I did find that were people of color, they were like, well, I have this great idea. I just don't know how to get started. I want to start a business. I thought about it. Or, the people that I talked to, they were successful, but they were like, it's not a lot of people in this, industry that are successful, because it's easy to start something, but to have sustainability and actually be successful in it and make money, that's a whole nother story, right? You know this, Doreen.
Yeah.
So for me, starting Boss was really about giving us as women of color a voice so that we could share our resources, our wisdom, and then also our advice to help other women that are coming behind us not have to work so hard, and that's what for me it's all about.
Yes. And so if you could share what your big vision is, what your big mission is for the Boss Network, what would that be?
So I'm a big picture person anyway. Like I think most entrepreneurs were visionaries, and so from day one, I always knew what the Boss Network was. That's why when we first started, it was called Boss, but it was only called Boss for like 6 months, and then I knew that this was something that was so much bigger than just an event series, because I launched it under my event company as an event series. And it stood for bringing out successful sisters, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring out other successful women to network with each other. And so very early, I said, this is actually an entire movement. This is a television show. This is a radio show. This is a digital platform. This is apparel. This is an entire brand that's going to give women of color an opportunity to say, guess what? I'm the boss. I create my own destiny. I create my own opportunities, and I make it happen for myself. And that's what we've created. And the next level for me is actually seeing those visions of, my own, television show, my own radio show, being the #1 digital platform for women of color in business. That's what we're moving into. And so next year's our 10-year anniversary. We're actually changing our platform from a membership platform to a digital platform. And so that for me is just everything. It's what I saw in the beginning, and to see God actually making it happen for me, it's just a blessing.
Yes, yes. And I know that as an entrepreneur, when you have a big vision and when you have been working so hard at bringing that vision to life, and you just talked about next year is your 10-year anniversary, and I've been in business for 10 years as well, there's no way that you can come along this journey and not have to deal with challenges and adversity and setbacks.
Yes.
And part of the mission of this podcast is to really help people understand that you have to have an internal transformation so that you can experience external results.
Absolutely.
Most times people are so busy going for the results, the goal, that they don't realize that there are some lessons to be learned, and sometimes even be our own worst stumbling block.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just curious to hear from you, what have been some challenges that you have had along the way, and what are some of the lessons you've learned because of them?
Oh my goodness. Oh, Doreen, this probably could be a podcast in itself. Just that one question, right? I think that's something that we are getting better at as far as being more transparent with our challenges and not just our successes. And I love that because there are so many challenges. And I will say the one thing that I have learned on this entrepreneurial journey is that I am a believer first. This has really made me go deeper into my faith with God. And I'm not shy about that at all. I'm a believer first, and then God is the CEO of my business. I'm a co-captain, and so this has really strengthened my belief and God. I know that a lot of things that I dealt with, from challenges and adversities, I've overcame them because of my faith and because of the doors that He's opened for me. But I believe that probably one of the biggest challenges that I really face oftentimes, and I think a lot of us face, is that doubt, right? That doubt of, am I doing the right thing? Is this going to actually work? Is it going to actually happen? Do people actually buy into it and believe in it? Because I think that we live in a world now where things move so fast. We get our success and we don't even sit and enjoy it or celebrate it, and we're moving on to the next thing. And so it really puts so much doubt in your mind because you're not even sitting to celebrate the small wins because you're looking for that next big win, that next big win. And so I have learned patience over these last 10 years to just slow down and celebrate my achievements, to really just take the moment to say, wow, look what I've accomplished. And very early on, I got so much validation. Within 6 months of launching my website, we were listed in Forbes magazine as one of the top 10 websites for women. And so, and we were listed 5 years in a row at that moment when that happened. And so chasing that type of, success for awards and, and to be on lists, that is, it's the easiest way to kind of keep you in this, like, what is like that little squirrel on that wheel, that like cycle. And so I had to learn that those things are important and they are, needed for validation, to get clients and to get sponsors and to get, supporters. But the reality is you have to focus on your business. And I tell people, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but I do believe that there's a difference in building a business and building a brand. And so for me, it was like, I feel like in the beginning, God allowed me to build a brand before I even had a business. Like I wasn't even making money, but I was in Forbes, I was in Black Enterprise, I was in Essence, all of these. I had awards, and I didn't really have revenue. And I was like, this is insane. But He knew where He was taking me, and He knew where He was taking me, that those things mattered. That people needed to see those awards and those, validations, because He knew where He was taking me, that those things were important. And so I did things probably backwards from a lot of entrepreneurs, where I built my brand first, and then I had to grow a business. I had to start looking at my revenue. I have to get a business coach because I was so moving forward to the point where I didn't feel like I could ask for help. I was like, I'm in Forbes, and I tell people I don't know what I'm doing here, But it's like, how do you say that? But the reality is, I'm only human, and there's so many different layers to businesses nowadays. You have so many aspects of business, from marketing to social media to client acquisition. There's so many layers. And I mean, kudos for those who know how to do it all. But hey, I'm just one person. And so I believe in hiring people that know how to do it great and they can show me, then I'm going to let them do the rest, And so I learned very early that I have to get help. I have to invest in getting that support and that coaching so that I could actually get ahead of the curve. But I didn't really have time to sit and wait, I had to keep moving. And so just kind of getting out of my own way and being willing to say, hey, I need to ask for help. That was one thing that was super important and a big lesson for me. Putting my ego to the side, putting my pride to the side, putting the fear of judgment to the side to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing in this particular area. I'm really good at this, this, and that, but this right here, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? Right? That's number one. And then number two, I would say,
hold on.
Yeah.
Before you move on, there was just so many.
Because listen, I'm just so passionate about this. Oh my God, yeah, we can talk for days.
I'll tell you, I just want to make sure that people are catching what you have just been sharing. So number one, when we talk about these lessons and this journey of entrepreneurship, everybody has doubt. And the truth is, it's not just in entrepreneurship. If you're building your career in America, if you are working to bring wealth and legacy into your family, if you are looking to have stronger relationships and more connections and more support, you're always going to have doubt because you're moving into something bigger. Absolutely. And when we have doubt, you said this so beautifully, it's that we don't celebrate the small wins, we'll never build on confidence instead of building on that doubt. And many times we overlook the small wins. Like we don't think it's big enough, or we don't think it's enough that it should be recognized or acknowledged. Well, it should always be recognized and acknowledged by you. I don't care if it's the one phone call you made, or you finally sent that email, or you sent out that resume. Every small step helps you build confidence and manage your doubt. And so I want to make sure people didn't miss that the small wins matter. And then, of course, the big granddaddy of them all is ask for help.
Ask for help.
Ask for help. And I think that putting your ego and pride and fear of being judged aside is such an important lesson for people to hear, because sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves because we're worried about what people think.
Right.
Well, you know what? I don't know nothing about this thing right here, so I don't care what you think about me. I got to go find somebody to help me.
Right. We live in an age where like everybody wants to be an expert, but guess what? To be an expert, you have to spend years and years and years, crafting that type of knowledge base, and that doesn't come overnight. And you can't be an expert in everything,
Right.
So yeah, absolutely.
And I love your point that you talked about building a brand before starting a business. And I do think that in many situations, or in some situations for entrepreneurs, that is definitely a strategy that can be used to the advantage, because sometimes people start a business and they don't have anybody to talk to.
That's right.
They don't have anybody to share what their new products or services are. And when they do share, they don't have any depth so that people can say, oh, this person is credible. This person has been around. Oh, this person knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So this idea of your boss network being set up, first of all, to serve and collaborate and share and bring people together outside of a revenue model, ended up serving you so much more when you went into a revenue model, because you had already built trust, you had already built community, and you had already built a platform where people knew that what they were getting, connection, networking,
content. So let's start. Let's start, because I thank you, because I'm the type of person, I'm so passionate about what I do, and I just go. So thank you for being able to kind of like pause and make sure people get those golden nuggets, because that's so good. And I want to even just take it a little bit further, because I feel like, because nowadays with social media and everything moving so fast, we feel like that we have to build a brand, build a business, and get the clients all in one day. Right. And the reality is, like you said, if you haven't built a brand and built trust, nobody's going to invest in you. And if you do get somebody to invest in you, and you haven't put in the time to build your expertise, that word's going to get back that you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
I saw the coaching industry kind of do a pivot, and I saw it because there were so many people coming into just this industry saying, I'm an expert in this. Great, beautiful website, beautiful flyers, and they know the talk, they know how to do it because they've watched all the greats like Doreen Rainey and Lisa Nichols. Let's be real. And then they get there with their clients and they cannot deliver. And so, and then the word gets around. And so for me, it was never about that. I didn't even start coaching until year 6 of my business, because I felt like I want to be authentic in saying that I actually have a successful business. Now, mind you, success is not always money, but there is a level of revenue that has to be generated in order for you to be successful. Otherwise, you have a hobby and not a business, right? So once I was comfortable with saying, okay, I have a revenue model, I have a business model that I can actually share with other people, that's when I started to say, hey, I can provide coaching and things for you to help you grow your brand. But we have to stop moving at other people's pace and learn how to walk in our own pace.
Yes, and that is powerful, because sometimes we just feel this pressure that we should be further along, or we feel pressure that, oh my goodness, so-and-so they started a business yesterday and they made $1 million today. Well, no, either they are lying, or you don't know all of the pre-work that went into coming to the forefront.
That's right.
And so that's such a powerful thing to remember. And because you've been doing this work with the Boss Network, because you have been talking with so many women across so many different industries and entrepreneurs and corporate women, and you've been working with corporate, you have this insight into what successful people do, what habits they have, and what ways they have of holding themselves back. And so in your experience in building out this network and working with so many women across so many different arenas, what would you say, number one, are some success habits that people should have? And then number two, what do they need to be aware of that could be holding them back?
Absolutely. This is such a great question, Doreen. And so I'm going to kind of take it slow with this because I want people to really get this thing here. The first thing that, I mean, because like you said, I have talked to thousands of women. I have engaged so many women over the last 10 years with my brand. What a blessing. But I've learned so much. As much as people learn from me, I learn from them. I'm sitting in on all these conference calls, on all these events. And so I'm learning. And what I noticed, one of the big things that I see that successful people do is they're productive and they're not busy. And it's so easy to get busy in this world that we live in with social media and all these posting and all the marketing and all the event planning and all the things that we do, that you're not being productive. At the end of the year, when you look at your revenue or your PayPal slip, you don't even have, a positive, cash flow. And so I noticed that people that are successful, they're not always on social media. They're not at every conference and they're not at every event. I'm sorry, they're just not. They value their time to the point where they schedule out things, they're productive so that they can make sure that they're actually having an end goal of financial success. And so I had to learn that for myself. I was at every conference, every networking event, trying to support everybody that I thought I could support, thinking that I was going to, get support in return. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I had to realize that my time is my most valuable asset. And so in order for me to be successful, I have to manage my time and be productive and not just busy.
Yes.
That's the first thing.
Productive and not just busy. And so if you're tuning in and you're listening, this might be a good time to kind of do a mental check of your schedule, of how you've been spending your time, because busyness has almost become a badge of honor.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so busy. Oh,
they don't, what is it? Entrepreneurs don't sleep, they grind. Man, please. I need my 8 hours.
No. And, whether we get caught up in family stuff or social media, or whether it's television or video games, or whether we're running around helping everybody else and not really focused on the intentional actions that we need to take, we have to really do a gut check on whether we are productive with our time.
That's right.
Or whether we're just busy doing stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. And then to take it a little bit further, number two, what I would say that I've noticed from successful people is that they are lifelong learners. The reason I have my master's degree in adult education is because I love to learn. I love to learn, and I'm always trying to learn something new. And so if you want to be successful in life, things move very fast, as you know, especially with the internet. There's always some new trend, some new program, another app, another, system that has to be into place. So you have to be willing to learn and invest in yourself. That is the biggest thing that a lot of people don't want to do. They want to get the information, get on all the free webinars, be a part of all the, the free stuff, but they're not willing to invest in themselves to get to that next level. And for me, I learned that investment in myself was actually a benefit because it got me ahead of the curve.
Right.
The moment I invested in a coach, my revenue tripled. No lie. It literally tripled that year just from having a coach for 3 months and him showing me how to turn my business around, how to look at how to get clients. And so instead of trying to get 100 people to join my membership, let me focus on 10 clients to become part of my program. So instead of trying to get $299 a year, let me get $1,000 a month. So it's like really looking at where are you spending your time and how can you make your money work for you. So being able to invest in yourself and being lifelong learners is definitely number two for me.
And I think it's also important to remember that you cannot be afraid of learning, that you are capable of learning. And I see this not just in entrepreneurs, but I see this in corporate America as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
The world is moving fast with technology, with new ways of managing projects, with new ways of doing business, business to business. And so no matter where you are, if you want to move ahead, you have to be willing to do things that make you uncomfortable. If you're
Yeah.
not comfortable with technology, but you know that that's the direction your company's moving in, or you know that you'll need to incorporate some technology into the way you do business, you cannot be afraid to go learn.
That's
You know,
right.
if you know that things aren't quite being stable and standing still, take it upon yourself to just take that deep breath and invest in learning.
That's right.
Whatever it needs to be, because sometimes we want to complain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe my job. They want us to do all this. I don't know how to do that. I can't learn that. And that's just not real.
That's
And
right.
so you not only have to be willing to learn, but you have to change your attitude about learning as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I'm a lifelong learner as well. I'm reading, learning all the time.
Yeah.
And you want to be selective with your learning. That goes back to, are you busy or are you productive?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I will tell you, one of
Was
the,
it a jack of all trades and
yeah,
master of none?
and
Mm-hmm.
yes. And one of the reasons I do what I do now with this internal transformation, with the masterminds that I run, and it's all about your mindset DNA, because I've been around for a while, you know that, Cameka, and I've seen
Oh,
people
yeah.
bounce from coach to coach
Mm-hmm.
to coach to coach. They bounce from this
I've
program.
seen it too. Oh my God. I
They,
went to a conference one time, Doreen, and everybody there was coaches. I was like, I gotta go. It's like, who are your clients? It's everybody doing the same thing. Like, who do you actually sell your product to? So it's like we cannot try to always be everything to everybody. Like your coach, your speaker, your author, your trainer, it's like, I mean, yes, having multiple gifts and talents, I just think that that's a beautiful thing. I have many as well, and I try to utilize them all. But I also try to make sure that I focus on what my gifts are and really stay in that lane. I've had so many people tell me, you should do this, you should do that. No, I want to stay in my lane, because that's where my win is,
right,
in my lane.
right. And for those that are seeking the help of coaches, it's the same thing. You're constantly signing up for something, jumping over here, jumping over there. And I'm not saying that it's not all good information. What I'm saying is, where do you need to be right now?
Yes.
What learning is most relevant to what you want your next step to be? And when you get very intentional about your learning, the same way you talked about, you don't go to all the events or the networking events, it will become with your learning.
That's
you will be very intentional in corporate America. This is the training I'm going to take. This is the mentor I'm going to work with.
And be having the patience to give
Yeah.
it time to work. And I think that's the biggest thing. When I first started my first coaching program, it was a year. And so many people kept saying, why don't you make it 6 months? Can it be 3 months? And I said, no, because I know that it takes time to learn and it takes time to see results. And so for me, it's all about results.
Right.
I want to pay for results, and I want people to feel like when they left my program that they got what they paid for. And I know that that cannot happen overnight. And so if I make you a promise that, yes, I'm going to be able to grow your brand in 3 months, I'll be able to get you some exposure and help you build some influence, but that's just not possible. Your brand is not going to be able to be at that level within 3 months. And so people have to be willing to have patience to sit at, like the disciples said at Jesus' feet, they sit and they learn, so we have to be willing to sit and learn and have patience to see things come into fruition. If you don't have that patience, you are going to hop from coach to coach, from job to job, from business to business, because you're not willing to stick it out until it becomes actually successful for you.
Yes. And I also think it's important when you begin to invest in your learning is to be really clear about the outcomes that you are looking for. Because there are some outcomes that need a year to bring out, to manifest. If there is just some short-term outcomes, then maybe you need something for 30 days.
That's right.
The challenge is sometimes people get a 30-day thing expecting an outcome.
Yes. So true. That's good.
So you have to be responsible for your own clarity. And being able to communicate what it is you need right now so that you can get the right resource that can get you to that goal. And so that clarity is so important. It's so important.
Yeah, that's so good. And let me tell you, the last thing I would say, and it kind of ties into everything we just talked about, is that constructive criticism and that feedback. Successful people, they want to know, where am I lacking and where can I do better? How can I improve? When I pitch to a brand for, a 6-figure sponsorship, and they say, you know what, we're not interested in that right now, maybe try it again next year. I say, okay, well, tell me, what are you looking for? But first of all, I do my research to see what are their initiatives, what are their goals, and what they want in a partnership. And then I say, okay, well, tell me what you guys are looking for from my particular brand. What can we do to actually help you guys achieve your goals? And once they tell me, I go back to the drawing board and I implement those things. That way, when I come back the following year, you can tell me no, but it's going to be real hard because now I've done everything that you've asked me to. And so we have to, and it's an ego like punch for somebody to tell you that program didn't serve me. It wasn't good. And let me tell you, whenever I send out my, end of the year, surveys, I cringe, to get that feedback. But I'm learning because literally every program that I've ever created, and I have 4 programs at this point for women in business, they all came from the feedback from my members.
Right.
And so it's like, I would be remiss to just create things that I think are good. Why not go off of what they say they need, what they say that they can benefit from? And that's what I've been able to do with the programs that I have for women entrepreneurs.
Is there any last words that you would like to share with our listeners about making sure that you do the internal work to experience the success that you're looking for?
Absolutely. So I just love this Radical Success podcast and just all of your teachings. I've been a fan of Doreen Rainey since day one. So when you joined the Boss Network, I was like, yes, I'm winning. So, for me, it's all about making sure that I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I'm always trying to go to that next level. But then also in this day and age, remembering self-care. And I know that's something that we probably don't talk about a lot in business. But the reality is if you're burned out and you're moving on empty, you can't pour into your clients. You can't pour into anybody else. And so I've learned within these last, I would say just 2 or 3 years, to really put myself first so that I can give from a full cup. And that has made all the difference in my success and actually loving what I'm doing.
Right. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Cameka, for hanging out with me on the Radical Success podcast. As always, it's not only a joy to talk with you, but I'll always learn something. I'll always walk away with something to think about. And you always give me something to keep me inspired and motivated to keep doing my best. And so I appreciate you. And again, be sure to check out the Boss Network.
Wow, thank you so much.
And thanks for listening to the Radical Success Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, stay radical.